Hi everyone, I'm really happy to be back. We are all being tested regarding abundance because this is shifting right now. Chiron has just entered Taurus on the 19th of June, and with that there's really a big highlight about material resources, which includes money, but also our value and our relationship with work. So today I wanted to challenge maybe one of the deepest beliefs that we have in the spiritual community, which is choosing between being deeply spiritual and having material abundance. Why do so many people who serve with the heart still feel guilty to ask for money? Why do so many people still feel that asking to be paid for their gifts or their life mission is somehow less spiritual? And what if this limiting and negative belief is actually participating in one of the deepest collective wounds that we need to heal today? So Chiron entered Taurus on the 19th of June, and Chiron in astrology really represents this archetype of the wounded healer and also the teacher. So when it enters a new sign, it really highlights all the aspects that we can find related to that particular sign. So Chiron has just entered Taurus. It will go back retrograde into Aries this autumn, and then it will go again in Taurus, and it will stay there until 2034, I think. And it's really highlighting our relationship with the material resources, with finances, with money. And also with that comes questions about our own value, our own self-esteem, and our relationship with work. Chiron is going to help us to really heal those deep wounds that we carry on a collective level, because this is, of course, a collective aspect, and to really heal all the fears that we may still have regarding lack mentality, poverty mentality, but also feeling insecure in our body, so all the survival mechanisms that we still hold, because this is also deeply anchored into our physical body, and Taurus speaks also about the physical body. So it's really a time where we can address all these deep wounds that we carry and really find resolution and transform them completely. Of course, abundance can manifest in very different areas in our life. We can be abundant in everything. We can be abundant in love. We can be abundant in joy, in peace, or whatever. But the aspect that is the most difficult for us in general is really the material abundance aspect, especially maybe I would say in the spiritual community, because there is such a negative connotation when we speak about money. And there is, a reason for that. I'm actually today, when we look at money, it is created and it is managed by the wrong people. It is managed and created by people who don't have the best interest on this planet, the shadow side. So because of that, we were also trained and programmed to think that money is evil and money is something that is negative. There is also this common belief that anything that is spiritual cannot be paid for. You cannot buy spirituality. And that is completely true. You cannot buy spirituality. But what you are paying for is actually the time, the energy, and the personal investment of the person who is sharing the spirituality, and maybe the many years that this person actually cultivated this spirituality within them. So for the people who think that spirituality should be always free and that it's wrong to charge for spiritual information or wisdom or whatever, I would say then go to your local farmer and say to your farmer, you should give me your vegetables for free, because it is not the farmer who actually grows the vegetables, it's Mother Earth. But what you are actually paying for, it's the investment that that farmer maybe paid for the land, the investment in time and energy to actually prepare the soil, to make all these beautiful vegetables grow, to water the garden, etc., etc. That's what you're actually paying for. And it's exactly the same with spirituality. You're not paying for spirituality, you're paying for the time, the investment, the energy, and what the person has cultivated within them. And then, shares with others. That's what you're actually paying for. And at the very beginning of my YouTube journey, at the start of my French YouTube channel, so that was like, more than 10 years ago now, I think. One of my first videos was about spirituality and money. And in that video, I was also talking about my own experience in my family, for example. So in my family, there was a very negative connotation towards money. Money was always seen as something taboo, something that was, like almost dirty, that we could not talk about. And in my family, there was a lot of debt, there was a lot of loss of money, also theft of inheritance, ruin, all that energy, all that family karma that I was carrying. And I was looking back these past 10 years and I was saying to myself, wow, I've evolved on that subject, and I will certainly continue to do so in the future. And now it's been more than 10 years that I'm sharing free content on my YouTube channel, on the internet. And it's, the paid offerings that also make it possible for me to continue to do this content for free. And again, 12 years ago, I moved back to the south of France. I was living in Belgium at the time, and in Belgium, I worked as a therapist. And, it started to go well for me. I had my clients, but I decided to leave everything behind and start all over again when I moved to the south of France. And in that time, I really didn't have a lot of money because I didn't have any savings, but I really wanted to invest in myself. So I continued to train myself. I wanted really to be the best version possible that I could be. And even though I didn't have a lot of money, I put all my money, I really invested in myself, and this actually paid off. Because if we don't invest in ourselves, how can we then expect others to invest in us? It's all a mirror, it's all about giving and receiving, and the universe is always going to show us the exact mirror that we are projecting to the world. There is also this other common belief about spirituality and money, which is that all the spiritual masters that have come to Earth were all poor, or they all have renounced the material world. And this is completely untrue. For example, when you look at the life of Yeshua, of Jesus, well, he was actually financed by his great uncle Joseph of Arimathea. He was a rich merchant and ship owner. He was also financed by his own wife, which was Mary Magdalene, who came from a very rich, noble family. Actually, she was from royal descent, and she also contributed financially to help Yeshua, serve his mission. And when you look at the Buddha, he was actually born a prince, so he was rich. When we look at King Solomon, he also had a huge amount of gold, of treasures that he kept in his temple that then was guarded by the Knight Templars. And actually all this material resource, all this wealth was to serve future generations, and what we are currently actually witnessing on Earth. So when the material resources and the wealth actually changes hands and it goes back to the light instead of staying stuck into the hands of the evil people. And again, when we look also at the traditional gurus of India, so I'm really talking about the true gurus, when they give initiation to their disciples, because initiation is a way of transmitting their divine energy that they cultivated to the disciple, well, there is what we call dakshina. And dakshina is an offering that the disciple gives to the master, so in form of money, but also with money that can be food or flowers. And this exchange is really a mark of respect, first of all, for the initiation, but also a commitment from the disciple to the master to receive this spiritual initiation. And the gurus of today, even those fake gurus out there, even when they do like these big free events, They always have books to sell, objects to sell, and sometimes they can become very wealthy thanks to all these things that they sell at these events. Over the years, I've noticed, and it's a very small percentage of the people, but in the comments, people who complain when there is something that they need to pay for, they are the people that never say thank you for all the free content that they actually consume. And that's because when we are in a state of lack, we cannot find gratitude. We cannot be in a state of gratitude. We cannot say thank you because we are so rooted in lack. And when we are in a state of ingratitude, we cannot be abundant. Because one of the keys to being abundant, to being in a state of abundance, because abundance is a state, very important to understand that it's a vibration. It's not something that we get. It's something that we vibrate, that we are. And to be in that state of abundance, one of the main keys is really to be in a state of gratitude. And this gratitude can really be something that we build in our daily life, feeling gratitude even for the smallest things in our life. Because I think one of the greatest problems that we have in our society today is that a lot of people take things for granted. Because, everything is free. Online, everything is free. And they don't need to move a muscle and they receive everything for free. So that mentality really, for me, is really feeding also this mentality of lack. And it's really the opposite of being abundant. So feeling grateful for the small things then creates this snowball effect where we are going to, because we feel grateful, the universe is going to send us even more things to be grateful for, and these things are going to become bigger and bigger, and our feeling of gratitude is going to become bigger and bigger as the abundance that we receive is going to become bigger and bigger. And I also want to talk to all of you who are maybe, also working in the spiritual field. Maybe you're a therapist, a coach, a teacher, or whatever, or even another area, but you struggle with maybe a feeling of guilt when you ask to be paid for what you have to offer. When you ask for money in exchange of your gifts or your soul mission. And this is really a problem because I've been there, clearly. I've also struggled with that many years. And this is really a problem because it really blocks everything for us. And I still see a lot of these examples that really break my heart. For example, recently I saw someone organize a workshop and they were teaching, something during this workshop for an entire day. And they just offered it almost for free. They just said, pay whatever you want, pay what is okay for you. And the fact that they didn't ask for a specific price actually resulted in this person to send an email to everyone the next days saying, look, at the end of the day, I almost received zero money from all the work and all the workshop that I actually offered to you. And for me, this is really a very sad example when we are not able to put a price, which means put a value on what we have to offer. Because we live in this society, whether we like it or not, where money equals value. So if you say, my work doesn't have any price, it doesn't have any value. So people are not going to think, okay, this person is going to offer their time, their energy, but I'm not going to give anything in return because it has no value. This is really happening on a subconscious level very often. So it's really important to value the work that we offer and therefore give it a price. I can even mention one of my personal experience with that. So when I arrived 12 years ago in the south of France and I needed to start over my career as a therapist, in the beginning, so I lived in a region where people are very, connected to spirituality, but also have a lot of judgment concerning money and being paid or paying for, healing or anything that is related to spirituality. So I had someone come to me and have a session with me, and they said, look, I bake bread. Is it okay if we do an exchange? Like, in exchange of your healing session, I'm going to bring you bread for like 1 or 2 months, several weeks. Every week I will bring you some bread. And I said, okay, fine. I was open to that, and I said, why not? And what happened is that this person left me the bread outside in the garden, and most of the time there was rain, so I could not eat the bread. And they also didn't commit fully, because at one point they actually stopped to deliver the bread, so they didn't fully commit to what they had said. And I said to myself, okay, I tried, but this is the last time I do an exchange with someone. From now on, people are going to pay me money. Very often, this lack mentality or all these limiting beliefs related to money or vows of poverty, they come also from past lives, or it can be also karmic. So many of us have been nuns or monks or even yogis, in caves, and actually really live those lives where we completely renounce the world to fully deepen our spiritual path. And that is totally valid as a life experience. But if in this life we decide not to renounce the world, then we need to accept the idea that there is money out there, whether we like it or not, and that we need money to live on this planet. So it's really about changing our perspective and changing all the negative beliefs that we have also related to money. And in the end, who benefits from humans living in scarcity, or living in poverty, or living in survival mode? Who benefits from that? Well, it is the matrix system. And it is actually the matrix system that programmed us to believe that money is evil, and that we should not touch money. Instead, money should be only in the hands of the self-proclaimed elite. And so they hold on to that money, but the rest of the people are not allowed to touch that money. And this really maintains humanity in a state of slavery. And what we see today, what we call work today, and there's also perhaps a negative connotation with the word work, or the way we see work actually, where it is actually paid slavery, because people work for money only to survive, and they don't have extra apart from all that they need to survive in this world. So this is why we also will see in the coming years, and definitely with this new earth coming in, that the relationship that we have with work, or even the word work, is going to change. In the coming years, we will speak of contribution, we will speak of purpose, we will speak of soul mission, of dharma, and being paid for that. And since when is it a crime actually to be paid for our passion? Everyone has a passion, and what if our passion is spirituality? Why shouldn't we be paid for that? So it makes no sense. So this is really about to change in the coming years. We are going to move beyond victim consciousness. We are going to move beyond scarcity, limiting beliefs around money and material resources, survival mechanisms. We are moving beyond that. But we need to take responsibility, and we need to, be okay to change here and now. And see that when we do so, we create also a kind of virtuous cycle of abundance for everyone. Because money is only a tool in the end. Like a hammer is a tool. You can use a hammer and you can kill someone, or you can use a hammer and you can build a house, you can build schools, you can build hospitals. Money is exactly the same. And money is actually also an amplifier. So money amplifies who we are. So of course, money in the wrong hands, money in the hands of dark people is going to create more darkness. But money in good hands, in people who are serving from the heart, who are really expressing their light to the world, then we can really see the world starting to shift. Can you really feel this shift happening now? That when money comes into the good hands of the good people, it amplifies this this really positive cycle of abundance for all, where we all share all these resources, we exchange energy, because again, because it is an energy, we cannot give without receiving. I've also experienced that actually on my path, when I was giving too much and not receiving enough in return. I actually burned out. You know, I was vampirized. I was really, really not well. When approached consciously, money becomes a force for the good. And as I said, we can really create this cycle of abundance for all that is going to really, this is a momentum that is starting and that will continue in the coming years. And we will see that our world is really going to shift, where we can all express our own gifts and offer them to the world and be, receive in return for everything that we have to offer, because it is really precious. Our gifts are precious. And there is always someone that needs our gifts in this world. And when this energy of abundance flows freely, we are really in this great balance also between giving and receiving. And we feel that there is this expansion of abundance for all that is here for us. Before we finish, I would like to leave you with a gift. If today's message resonated with you, well, I would like to offer this free guided meditation for Embodied Awakening. One of the greatest obstacles to our abundance isn't simply our beliefs, but it's also the state of our nervous system. When we live in survival mode, it's difficult to relax, trust, and it's difficult to receive. This meditation is a gentle invitation to slow down, reconnect with your body, mind, and heart, and open yourself to a deeper experience of presence and connection with spirit. And you can receive it completely for free by clicking in the link in this description box below. I will see you there. Thank you for being here. Sat Nam.